Well, I mean, January was forever.
Oh, man, just it's like 2 months packed into
It
one
is. Yeah.
every year. There's never been a short January.
No, it is 85 years long. So we are actually going to discuss our I've got the top five streaming shows that I'm kind of well, I've got three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Like and eight, nine are like honorable mentions, but like it's really hard for me to get these seven down to five. I mean, I guess I
I had
could.
a lot of just everything, but I do have three movies because I feel like at least a couple of our streaming shows are going to be the same.
Okay, so do you have how many streaming shows do you have?
I have one,
Because we could always do another
two.
one with movies and
I
other
have
stuff too.
just three streaming shows because I
Oh,
really started cutting it down.
oh, okay. So, like I got seven. Well, there's top five. Well, there's top two. Although I bet two of them. No, I bet three of them are about the same.
That's the thing. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I have got. Ooh, let's see if I go in. Okay, I'm gonna try to get him down to five. Let's see. I'm gonna take out that. Let's take out that, and we're gonna take out that. Okay, I've got it to five.
All
All
right.
right. N, you want to go with your number five?
And
Or
is
we've got
so
three.
the number, are we going off just streaming stuff?
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
do string.
So number one, right off the bat,
Oh, easy.
Daredevil Born Again.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
comes out in March. I I think of all the Netflix Marvel shows, while I think each was it Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, and then the
Right.
one season of Defenders with all of them, while I thought they all had their good moments, and Punisher, I think Daredevil was just sustained excellence
Sure.
just all the way through.
And did he know that John Bernthal's coming back as the Punisher? I
Yes,
think that's, yeah, yeah,
yes.
definitely. That was
So
definitely my number one as well.
yes,
Yeah.
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah. All right.
All
So
right,
I'm gonna go with my number five. And my number five is Andor.
That's my number two. That one was
I,
my number two, just because I think we talked a lot about Star Wars and the different shows, and
right.
we had a lot of hope for Acolyte, which really let us down. And then Skeleton
Sure.
Crew, I don't know if you finished it.
I did.
I enjoyed it.
I did
I
too.
did, but Andor is just a different
Different. Yeah.
level of film of series,
Right.
and I am ready to get back to that part of Star
Oh,
Wars.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I think it's great because it's serious and that's kind
Yes.
of my criticism about Marvel right now is that it's getting too goofy. Everything is a watered down comedy instead
Yep.
of let's get us back to Captain America's Civil War, Captain America Winter Soldier, that kind
Yep.
of seriousness with like sarcasm and a chuckle here and there, but the main bulk of it being serious, and I think Andor is that.
That's my
This
biggest worry for Thunderbolts, which is
is going to be too yucky. It's
is that
yucking it
I
up.
think it's a very serious matter because all of them are kind of people that are down on their luck. Like you could really lean into that, which
Right.
but as soon as I saw the Red Guardian, I was just like,
Oh,
he's gonna overdo it. Like
yep.
he's fine for comic relief, but I feel like they're gonna lean into that just a little too much. Because Bucky, he can make his jokes, but he
Sure.
can lock in and be serious. And I just said
Sure.
Red Guardian. I don't want an hour and a half, 2 hours of just you being the comic.
One-liners. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I think Andor does so good is it is again, it's in a serious like again, Skeleton Crew was cute, but it was
Yeah,
very I don't want to even say it was funny. It was very serious.
yeah,
It was a serious show, but yeah, Andor is it has that oppressive vein going through.
yeah.
Like, well, you
Plus,
because
you
you know what
know
they're working towards,
exactly, and you
and
know
so
what
it's
their fates all are too. Like you know, in
right,
the end, the rebels win, but you know the fates of all of those people is like they don't even get
right,
to see the fruits of their labor.
right. You're
Like
just
they
kind of like,
die on Scarif, like way at the beginning, So just knowing that, it just, yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason I like. I mean, like I might be crazy, but it's like that's the reason like I've got Infinity War on right now on another TV in the house, and I think that's like kind of my favorite over Endgame is because it's the impending doom that you
Hmm.
feel towards the end of that movie. Like you know, again, it's the reason that you have things like Empire Strikes Back are so good.
Yeah,
The Two Towers, you know, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. These were like movies where it didn't end on such a great note.
for sure.
So that okay, so Andor was your number two. That was my number five. My number four is Squid Game's the finale.
Yes, that was my number three.
Okay.
I did sit down and watched it all in like a day and a half
Right.
because on the last episode I mentioned that I was, oh, it's on my list, and I was like, I need to just sit down. So I took a Saturday and just ran through it, and
Watched it.
then woke up on Sunday and watched the finale.
I felt like season two, I guess, I don't know if they're considering the season three. I guess they are considering it season three, even though it's in June. But it felt like there was a lot of more filler towards there was in the season
Agreed.
one. But I guess it's because of them splitting it up into two and making it a finale. Like
Yeah,
they're not
I
just going
feel
to
like
keep
they were trying to give us more. Well, they had more stories to tell. I guess, like, I know in the first season there was life going on outside of the
right,
Squid Games, with the cop who was trying to figure it out.
right.
But I feel like 90% of our attention and emotions were locked in on the games.
Sure.
Whereas with this one, like, it eventually got to that point, but I felt like it took a while to get there.
Right.
And then even when it did, it kept really like pulling you out of the games
Right.
a lot
And
more
it,
than the
yeah.
first season did.
Yeah. And a lot of it was, you don't want to say it was retread of the first season, but a lot of that stuff was samesies, which, I mean, was good. I mean, like they still, I'm very curious as to how they're going to end this. And I was really confused about the people that were like, oh, I never saw number one as the bad guy. And I'm like, did you miss the first few seconds of season two? Because they recap that for you, like that who he is, like
Yeah, they
where we at.
recapped it. Yeah, and you saw number one was the old guy, so number one for this one. Now, I didn't expect him to be number one. Like, I
Sure.
knew who he was, but at the end of the episode, when the people were getting a chance to vote in or out, I didn't expect him to be there.
Right. Okay.
That caught me,
Right.
but I was also like, I know who that is, and like,
Right.
good for
You knew
you.
he was the bad guy.
Yeah, and then I thought they did a really good job expanding on the guy with the briefcase that was getting people for the game.
Hmm.
When he walked around the people in the park, offering them lottery tickets or food,
He was kooky.
that one depressed me, but
Oh
it was
yeah.
so real because it was like, that is real. So then when you get into the games, and obviously stakes are a little bit raised because there's potential death, but the amount of people that kept voting to keep playing for the potential of making this money versus leaving with what they had,
Right.
they were just doubling down on what they showed you in the park when he offered them a
Right.
sandwich or a lottery
Or a
ticket.
lottery ticket.
Man, that one is tough, but it
It
it was well
was.
done. But I was just like,
Right.
man, I'm uncomfortable watching that.
Yes. Now, you've gone those are your three. We
Yes.
matched those. So what like you got one, it's my one, four, and five. Okay.
So, and
So
I
the
only
other
had one more streaming show, and that's because I filled mine with movies and TV shows.
okay.
So I
Well, we
cut
can
a
do
bunch.
we can do another episode. We can do another podcast definitely of movies coming out because there are a lot of good things coming out. There are also a lot of why is this coming out?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we can do a top five of the most anticipated that we think, and then maybe a number five of why are they doing this this year?
So one of the shows I had to take off because I didn't realize it was not going to be this year was X-Men 97. I thought for
Oh,
sure
okay.
that was this year, and like right before I hopped on, I was like, let me put the month down. So I typed in X-Men 97 season 2, and it was like 2026 release date. I was like,
Oh.
let me go ahead and take that one off the list.
Now, I have two that might make your list that you might not have thought of. So, we're going to go with my number three, which is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is a new Game of Thrones.
Oh, did I forget that one?
I'm going to read the overview. A century before the events of Game of Thrones, two unlikely heroes wander Westeros, an adaptation of George R. R. Martin's novella The Hedge Knight. A young and naive but courageous knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, and his diminutive squire Egg face a series of dangerous exploits. Set in an age when the Targaryen line still holds the Iron Throne and images of the last dragon have not yet passed from living memory, great destinies and powerful foes await these improbable and incomparable friends. And it just says 2025, so um,
I don't know
who
how I
knows?
forgot that one. I think it's because I knew House of the Dragon was not going to be this
Right.
year. So
So
I
you're
just
just like, oh,
blocked all of it was blocked out of my mind.
Game of Thrones is dead to
I don't even
me
want to
until
think about it.
2026. Yeah, so that was my number three. I did put A Night at the Seven Kingdoms on that doesn't come out until apparently late 2025. And I
Oh,
am
nice.
interested in that because it says it's based on the Tales of Dunk and Egg by, his book. So again, we tend to like consume everything that's Game of Thrones.
Yes.
So there is a good chance that even though he didn't put it on his list, people, that he will be watching it.
It would have been on my list, but I put a mental block for anything Game
Just
of
because
Thrones
it
related.
devastates you
I,
too
I
much.
didn't want to feel it right here, so I pushed it to the side.
Okay, and
Um,
now my number two, because again, Daredevil was my number one. Number two, The Last of Us season two.
that one is on my list. Honestly, should have been my second. Yeah, because Daredevil, I was tossed. Yeah, Daredevil was on there, so that one was on my list.
Right.
That was my last one,
Yeah.
which
So
I'm
The
looking
Last
at
of
it now.
Us
I have
season
one more
two.
actually.
We're not going to give any spoilers, but I mean, like, obviously, if you've played the game, you understand what's coming up in season two. And an interesting thing about it is, again, without saying what's going to happen, we'll just kind of talk around it, but it's how early in the season will they do it? And are they worried about risking viewer fall off because of it?
100% where my mind is at. 100%
Right.
because that is
Huge.
a risky move.
Right.
Again, like you said, for how early in
You know,
the
like, will they do it early in the season and then hope that people latch on and glom onto other characters and let it take us this way? Or will they, will, will they be doing a series of flashbacks and then towards the end of the season show you why we're flashing back?
right.
So I'm a little confused. I mean, like, obviously the show hasn't come out yet, so we don't know, but this to me is kind of, again, we're not going to say what happens. But again, if you've played the game, you understand what's going to happen in um the show, but we don't want to say it for the people who've not. Um
That
so
I will be locked in on that one.
yeah, and I don't know when the first episode of this one is going, so talk amongst yourselves. Um It does. Oh, it's going to release sometime between March and May. And it says that it is set 5 years after season one. So again, Joel and Ellie face conflict with each other, in a more dangerous world, and that there are going to be new characters in this. Obviously, they do not shy away from, we're just going to say, killing major people on
Yes.
the show. It's very much in the vein of HBO/Max TV shows. I think Game of Thrones kind of started that. And
100%.
once they kind of like ripped that
100%.
band-aid off, everybody else was like, you know what we could do?
When they ripped off the Band-Aid and people stuck around and
Yes.
made it a talking point, shows
Yes.
are like, oh, well,
Oh,
we can do
like
that.
we can do that. And so, yeah, obviously, like we didn't talk too much. We just kind of, because we both had Daredevil on our list, uh, we just kind of skirted around. Let's see when let's get the details on that because I believe
Daredevil
that
is March. I don't know when in March, but
okay,
it is March.
March 4th, 2025. So I
And
don't.
Andor is April 22nd. I knew that one.
Oh, is it? Now my honorable mentions are Ironheart, just because I'm just kind of curious to
They've
see.
done a rebrand with it. It's an honorable mention for me
Right.
just because at this point I am very curious what Marvel, what
Is
direction
doing.
Marvel wants to go, what they're doing, because I know they've kind of come out and admitted that they lost sight of what made them great. Like they've come out and admitted that.
Oh, did
But
they?
we don't have, yeah, like Kevin Feige kind of said they're focused more on quantity over quantity. They're focused more on
Quality.
quality over quantity.
Right.
But they haven't really had a bunch of releases or enough releases to, or any new releases, I guess you could say, to see if that's true. And I know they've had a lot of changes, reshoots. We don't know what the landscape is going to look like after
Right.
Captain America and Thunderbolts, but I am curious what they're going to do because they had her show, then Ironheart, then they took it off the release template, then they put it back on. So clearly they had discussions when they had their come
Right.
to Jesus talk, and then they decided like this one is worth keeping. I just really, really hope that they kept it on because they had a really good story to tell and not because, oh, this is one of our black female characters. And so even though with our new direction, it doesn't really fit, we should just do it anyway. Because like that would annoy me. Like
Right.
I hope that it survived the chops because they have a good story to tell.
Because it has a place in phase six. Like
Yes.
it's not, and from my understanding, and I could be completely wrong, maybe this was a different show I was, getting this information about. From my understanding, it should lead to Armor Wars.
That's what I thought too, but I
Okay.
thought Armor Wars was one of the ones they took off.
Oh, well,
I could be wrong too. Honestly, they've had a lot of because there was I still heard stuff before Comic-Con, I heard stuff
right,
during Comic-Con. I saw a screenshot. Someone posted a side by side of like the roadmap that they had like two Comic-Cons ago
right.
and then the new one, and I was like, there was stuff missing, and I feel like Armor Wars
Was
was
one of
one of
them
them. And I wonder if it's because everyone was so pissed off about the whole Rhodey scroll thing that they were like, oh, maybe we because according to that show that I don't want to think about,
ever.
they had Rhodey potentially being a scroll since
Yeah,
what is that? Since Civil War.
right,
Which, like, if you did that, just throw the whole thing away. Like,
right.
absolutely, too much happened, including his best friend dying, for it to not be the real Rhodey. So, and I think when the entire internet, like everyone, hated it, that might have been like, oh, maybe we don't need to throw Don Cheadle back in the suit quite yet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean yeah, that does make sense because yeah, that's you're gonna have honestly, at this point, they're really going to if they
Retcon
were
that entire
smart,
show.
yeah, they're gonna have to say it was just a different multiverse, like a
They
different
have to,
timeline.
and they have that out. It'll be it won't it'll be cheesy. It'll be a weak response, but it's a response that like
It's needed.
it's needed. Like I would roll my
Yeah.
eyes and be like, oh, okay,
But then
but
thinking,
do it.
thank God
Yes,
we don't have to deal with
yes,
like we okay, like well, we can just put that in the trash. That just did,
yes.
thank God that didn't happen. Yeah, like just yeah, that is just not we don't have to think about it anymore. It was
Yeah, that was
it was a different universe and glad that happened there, but that didn't happen here. So
yeah,
I know that now Daredevil is supposed to get a R TV mature rating.
yes. And I think originally they weren't going to, but I think the rumblings you saw through the internet, everyone was, I think, because again, everyone, I think it pretty much 99% of people agree that Daredevil was like peak TV for superheroes.
Right.
And when it went to Disney, obviously everyone's first thought is when you go over to the mouse, everything gets dumbed down. I know Daredevil or Deadpool referenced it in Deadpool and Wolverine,
Yeah.
and they said, hey, look, we can make an R-rated movie, which they did, and it wasn't
Right.
bad. Like the gore and the violence and the jokes and everything, like you proved you could do it,
Right.
but I also want to see it done without the
Well,
jokes. And I just
yes.
want it to be
Yes.
dark and gritty. And they
Again,
did kind of lean into it a little bit with Echo. I know Echo was another one we didn't love, but that one was dark and gritty enough. But they also had the rest of the show, the whole side story that didn't make sense, that kind of took away from it. But as far as the
yeah.
violence and
Sure.
the
Yeah, they kept the violence and it was just they just messed up her story.
yes,
Like
Yes.
it just so again, I just like my
Looking at
plea,
just those fight scenes, I'm optimistic for Daredevil.
right. I'm my plea to Marvel is get back to the serious. Like this is I like I'm hoping with Captain America here coming out soon that it's gonna be
Just I wanted to be excited for it. The trailers look really good. I just
I know. You just have a, it's a we've it's PTSD. You got that
yeah,
flinch like
it's PTSD, but then also just going into it knowing they've had to reshoot it three different times.
yeah,
Like I don't know of a movie, and maybe there's been one, but I don't know a movie that goes through three reshoots and you come out the other side like, man, that was a great movie. Like,
right.
I don't know.
It's like and I find it really I found it very strange that it's February, May, and July, or February, May, and July are the release dates where I'm like, those seem
Yeah.
like real
Really close, like
close together.
nothing on the back half to carry us into the new year or even take us from summer to fall. Like you have us in February, fine. Then you go into March, and I'm like, oh, okay, like right into it. Um,
There's Daredevil.
yeah, I'm trying to remember when Thunderbolts is.
It's May,
Okay, May, and then you have
right?
Fantastic Four in July.
Yeah. And I understand because I mean, like, I know that you wouldn't have wanted Thunderbolts to be your July picture. I get that because I get it that you're trying to finish out phase five.
Yeah.
I get that you're like, let's just make this a bad memory and finish out phase five and move in. Like, we're super excited about phase six
Hmm.
with in the introduction of the Fantastic Four, which I mean, I know the new trailer's supposed to be out tomorrow. Nope, Tuesday. I keep thinking today's Monday. Um, Tuesday for, because it's February 4th, F4.
Yes.
So I know a trailer's supposed to be out for that. Is it the same trailer that's going to be out for the Super Bowl?
I believe so. I think the Super Bowl was the tease, and
Yeah.
then
It just
yeah,
came out that it was like they were going to do one on
I
Good
heard
Morning
it was gonna be on the
America.
Super Bowl, which wouldn't surprise me because that's
Sure.
normally when you do it. But
Right.
my issue with these new Super Bowl trailers,
If Canada doesn't turn out the lights on.
well, yeah, that too. Yeah, they what they've been doing now is showing you a 30-second teaser, and then at the end of the 30-second teaser, they're like full
Yeah.
trailer on
Oh,
YouTube, and
yeah.
I'm like, just pay the money and show me the whole trailer then.
Yeah. I know 30 seconds cost you $8 million this
Yeah,
year in Super Bowl. I get it, but you are Disney.
yeah.
Like quit being
Pay
cheap. And
for
I
the
know
two
that
and a
you're
half
everybody
minutes.
now is wanting to break that YouTube record. Everybody
Yes.
is wanting to do it. And I think Superman finally knock
I
off
yeah.
Endgame?
Hmm.
Okay.
Or they were getting pretty close at least.
Right. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
get they want the YouTube record, but yeah, you have the money. You have the money. Give us the 2 minute
yeah,
full trailer. That
if
30
anything,
second teaser trailer to say full trailer on YouTube. It gets me I just get more and more angry about
or
it.
add 20 more seconds to the
Yeah.
YouTube video and have
Yeah.
a full 2 minute trailer on TV. Pay the $32 million
Yeah.
that
And
you
there's just one extra thing in the YouTube one.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
But the 30-second, because I remember last year, I forgot what movie it was.
Oh, it was pretty much all of them, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like
And it
almost
got to a
all of them
point
were
where I was
like,
just like, I'm just going to YouTube and I'm going to Marvel's YouTube page. And I'm just gonna, as soon as I see like the logo on the TV, I'm just gonna refresh and then watch the 2 minute trailer rather than the 30-second trailer
yeah,
that you're gonna show me.
yeah, like you wasted $8 million because now everybody's logging off and getting on, not logging off,
Yeah.
but everybody's getting onto their computer and watching
Yeah.
it, which again,
You could have done it for
great.
free,
But
just posted it on your Instagram page and said, hey, the trailer's up.
it's like maybe I want to see it on a big screen. Like everybody's
Yeah.
got a big screen for the Super, not
Yes.
everybody, but I mean, like most people have a big screen. They're watching the Super Bowl on. Show me, get me excited. Like
The Superb Owl Bowl.
so, yeah. Just again, if Canada decides to keep the lights on.
I've been walking around quoting the speech from Andor. I've just been yelling, fight the Empire over and over again. Just, ugh.
Which ironically, I mean, like this is completely getting off track, but like I watched Revenge of the Sith today. So.
Oh, man.
And I mean, like obviously the line from it is this is how liberty dies with thunderous applause. But like No, I know we could just completely get
All
carried away.
right.
But the only
Well,
other show that I had on here that I've actually watched an episode and a half of because I started it late last night was Paradise on Hulu. It's got Sterling K. Brown,
yes.
James Marsden, Julianne Nicholson, I believe. So far, really good, really inventive, especially with the way the first episode ends. I know they have the first three episodes out right now. I know it came out all these three episodes came out January 28th or 29th. But just kind of like a little honorable mention. So far right now, three episodes in, seems pretty decent. It's inventive. Um, um,
I've
you know,
seen people talking about it. It wasn't on my list, but I always like adding stuff to it.
right. So yeah, I had like those are those two. Now I also did have Stranger Things listed as an honorable mention, and I know I had one more, and now I can't think of it.
Well, I've got one more,
Oh,
and
okay, do you? Maybe it's the one I
it's Gen V season 2. So it
oh,
is the
okay.
Boys spinoff, which I think the Boys final season comes out this year, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited for. Um,
Right,
the last season wasn't as good. They were still very ridiculous, but I felt like this last season they were ridiculous just to be ridiculous instead of it like
right,
having a point. But Gen V was the first spinoff show, and it was about the because as people that watch The Boys, they realize they're superheroes, but really they're just walking advertisements, and they're pretty much owned by these big corporations.
sure,
So for Gen V, it was college kids that have the superpowers, and
right,
colleges kind of like place them, and that's how they get marketed and all that different stuff. And I thought that was
right.
a good angle showing them before they are fully consumed by the machine. And the first season was it had a pretty good story that tied into the boys show. Ended on a cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to see where that goes. One of the main characters did pass away, so I'm really curious to see like how they're going to
Kind of,
tie that into the show. Not to be
right.
disrespectful to his death, but like he was a main character, so it's got to be referenced somehow,
Hmm.
whether they recast him or write him off. Um, It's not my favorite show, but it was very entertaining. So
Yeah.
that is my final honorable mention show that's on there. But definitely getting bumped down for the Game of Thrones show that I completely forgot about in The Last of
And
Us.
Last of Us. The only other one I had was Alien Earth, and it's only because I'm trying to right now kind of I know there was recently like a chronology of all the Alien movies put out, with the new one Alien Romulus and like all the other older ones. Um with Prometheus and all that good stuff in there. And so Alien Earth, I believe, is supposed to be out, I believe, sometime this summer.
Did you
So
see Alien Romulus?
I actually haven't yet, but I was waiting to see where this is supposed to fit into the chronology before, because like before I ever wanted to start it, I want to be able to watch them all like in the time that yeah, I have been take raked over the coals the past few days by the guys in the movie group because of certain movies and TV shows that I have not watched. Like so I'm like, listen, I'm trying to get there. Like I have not seen Severance. Apparently it is the best TV show on right now. I have not
Yeah.
seen it. So I'm
I
trying,
haven't seen it, but I people won't shut up about it, so I get it.
yeah,
Romulus, I the funny thing about Romulus is I saw the Red Band trailer when I went to go see a different movie.
right,
And me, my 31-year-old self, was sitting in the theater like, oof, this is kind of a lot. I don't know if I want to see this movie on the big screen.
right,
Then my mind immediately flashed back to like, I watched the first one when I was like 12. I did not need to be watching that movie.
right,
Like as
right.
I'm sitting here grossed out as a 30-year-old, I'm like, why was I watching
So
this?
you haven't seen Alien Romulus
I
either.
have not. I am a big fan of the Alien. I'm a fan of the Alien universe. I will say I'm a bigger fan of the Predator side of it.
Okay,
I
sure.
know some people put them all in one. I know some people have them separated. I prefer the Predator side of it, but I've seen at least 2 to 3 Alien movies, and I remember watching the first one like eons ago,
Right.
and just sitting here thinking like, I watched that thing come out of the guy's stomach
Oh,
at like 12 years old.
yeah. 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 So that concludes what we're looking forward to as far as streaming shows. We will do another episode when we're going to kind of maybe look back a little bit at movies that we liked from 2024 and
Yes.
stuff that we're looking forward to in 2025. But yeah, so yeah, I hope if any of these are on your list, I hope you let us know in the comments, what you're looking forward to, what you're not looking forward to. And we will try to cover at least, well, I should say everything that we will probably agree on watching, we'll cover.
Yes.
We will have our rundowns and our theories and all that good stuff. So,
Yes.
yeah, and will be talking basketball every once in a while in here. So, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
make sure that you
Anytime
tune in
anything
for
big
it.
happens, like the trade of the century in the middle of the night, I will try to hop on and talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, so we've got a lot of things coming up in 2025 is going to be obviously huge, like every year is when
Yeah.
we will manage to cover it all. So, until then, bye.
See ya.